Hi, do you know how the human brain works when we read or work with words and pronunciations? I'll show you. There were some studies where the scientists used a PET scan. A PET scan is able to measure activities in the brain. And one of those studies, the scientists were interested in finding out whether there's some difference between the way dyslexics read and the way the non-dyslexic reads. And to do that, they used a PET scan and they assembled two groups. The one group containing the dyslexic persons and the other one normal readers. Everybody became PET scanned, and inside the PET the scientist had placed a text, and every person were instructed to read that text. What you can see using a PET scan is, it's called tomography. That means computer-aided visualization of the brain. Imagine some bread that you chop up in slices, and that's what you visualize on a computer. And you have some areas that somehow lightens up according to the centers that are active. Now, this is the left part of the brain, and this is the right part of the brain. And this is some nerve fibers that connects the two brains to each other. Here we have the eye. Sorry, it might be a bit morbid, but this is how it looks actually. And now this brain is about to read. This is an information. In order to process this information, we have to recognize the information as a picture. So the information enters here through the eye and travels all along this path towards the visual center. And it is located in the posterior or backside part of the brain. Now this information is stored as a picture. This is the camera. The information has not been read so far, because in order to read a word, we have to estimate or determine its pronunciation. And the brain has one center. In fact, it's many centers, but I draw it as one. And this becomes active when the picture is transferred to the center. This area is very important for reading and writing, of course, because it's able to construct or synthesize the corresponding pronunciation to this information, okay? So, well, it has nothing to do with music, but this is a tune somehow. I just draw it as a tune. So, this is a normal brain. This is me. If I was to enter a PET scan reading in there, my brain pattern would look like this. You have very high activity in this center of the brain, and you have high activity here too. In normal readers, the activity is high because this center works. And that it makes normal readers able to read any word, even words they have not seen before. Now I will draw what happened, or how it looked when the dyslexics entered the scan, reading the same text, of course. Yeah. This center seemed not inactive, but its activity were low. And why is that? Now we have learned that it's very important for the construct of sounds according to words, but it's low anyway. The other thing that you could see on the scans were a very high activity in the outer part of the brain. It's called the Neocortex. It's lying like the bark on the tree, the outer layer of the brain. Sorry about my English. The outer part of the brain is very active. And why is that? The outer part of the brain contains the long-term memory, the thing we must remember in our lives. So, I will draw the long-term memory, or visualize it, as a drawer containing or storing all these critical, important informations. On the best of the scans, you could see a connection or a little area lightening up here. That's why. Yeah, let's think about that. Why is that? Well, the information is recognized as a photo, but instead of entering this area, it is transported directly to the long-term memory. And the long-term memory is searched through. And in this case, we actually have a file containing this information. And within this file, you have a pronunciation, a sound file, popular speaking, based on memory. So, the dyslexics are not using this one. And if you ask me, that's why I can say it's because it do not work. So their brain use whatever strategy that helps. And it seems that they use the long-term memory and they recognize the words by memory. And they try to recognize the sound connected to each picture. Well, this is a good strategy, but it's very demanding for the brain to memorize so many pictures and so many sounds. I have not spoken about spelling, but that contains even more information. So this is very challenging on a cognitive level or mental level to be a dyslexic. I don't know in English, but I know in Danish that we have around 10,000 words to remember and to spell and to pronounce. That's a huge amount of information to remember. It might explain why dyslexics often become so tired when reading and writing. Okay, this is a word I have constructed myself. It does not mean anything. It doesn't even exist. But we do agree that it must contain a pronunciation or sound. And if you have an effective area here, the brain will be able to construct or synthesize the right pronunciation for this so-called word. It says Braille Prax. Well, so people that who do not have dyslexia will be able to read any word, and people who have dyslexia will feel very challenged when encountering words they have not seen before.